listening to TALRadio, the information and entertainment arm of the Touch of Life Foundation. On TALRadio, the Touch of Life Foundation shares stories of kindness and information on how we can connect those around the world who might be in need of assistance with parties who are generous enough to offer it. And today on the Robert Hicks Show, we have a couple of representatives from the Pablove Foundation. We want to welcome Kerstin, Lynam, CEO, Lauren Aufiero, social media specialist, both from the Pablove Foundation. Thanks for joining me today for our show.
Thank you so much for having us.
Very glad to. So let's talk a little bit. As I mentioned, we are always talking to people that have ways for people to connect, to help one another. And the Pablove Foundation, obviously, that's kind of a unique name. So I'm sure it's an interesting story to how you all began. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about that, where the Pablove Foundation name came from?
Our story began with a little boy by the name of Pablo, who got diagnosed with a rare pediatric cancer. And his fight against his cancer, and unfortunately, he died just a few days after his 6th birthday. His parents subsequently founded our foundation, and we since then have been fighting pediatric cancer with love. Pablo's parents, Joanne and Jeff, realized, having had to go this terrible journey, they realized that pediatric cancer care must go beyond what happens inside the hospital. And they decided to do something for the kids right now, which is why we offer photography courses to give kids respite and joy and improve their quality of life. And on the other side of our mission, we support cutting-edge pediatric cancer research, where we look for a better tomorrow for these kids, a tomorrow where the words of "your kid has cancer" be followed by "and we have a cure for that."
Certainly lofty goals, and certainly it's interesting the way the things started out. That's back in like 2008, 2009 timeframe, right, that you started out?
Yes, that is correct.
And I was reading that on the website for the Pablove Foundation, it mentioned that Jeff Castella's, the father, the passing of his son, he actually rode his bike from Florida to California to raise awareness of the situation that not only they went through, but other people like them, and that he pedaled. While he was pedaling, the family's community came together, and they opened up a PayPal account, and they presented it to Pablo's parents with a $250,000 balance, and that was how the Pablove Foundation was born, right?
That was our seed funding from the get-go. Very generous of Pablo's parents to dedicate that fund to make things better for kids just like Pablo. You're spot on. And this massive ride that Jeff undertook also explains why, to this day, cycling is part of our DNA. And our biggest fundraiser every year is Pablove Across America, where our community of cyclists comes together. They peer-to-peer fundraise to add to fighting pediatric cancer with love.
That's very cool. Talk about that, if you would, because the tagline says fighting childhood cancer with love. And I guess what I kind of want to highlight is it's not just something as simple as seeking donations and contributing money. Talk about what that fighting cancer with love means. I mean, you touched on it a little bit earlier. There's an arts element to it, and things like that. Can you share a little bit on that? A little bit more?
We all are aware of many different pediatric cancer support organizations, and I like to think that we are in a bit of a niche, not necessarily with what we do it, but how we do it. I'm saying this kind of with a twinkle in my eye. We have a hiring bias toward people with a heart 2 or 3 sizes too big. And we have a lot of people who are just so in on our mission that the way how we provide services, everybody gives of herself or himself as we connect to our kids and their families. It kind of takes away this, we are doing this as a job. We're doing this as people who want to make a better tomorrow for these precious, precious kids.
And even in a very therapeutic way, right? By, introducing art to essentially comfort them during their journey, right?
I love how you string us through the conversation, Robert. Absolutely. We've had anecdotal evidence for many years that kids who may start out shy and removed from the photography group, so the photography classes, it's not a one and done, is we keep inviting the kids back. It's a 6-week course, just the introductory course. And during this time, we see them thawing and engaging and beginning to smile and giggle and share with the other kids. And that is what matters to us. So we've seen this anecdotally, but we also felt if we feel so strongly about that, that is what we do. Why don't we try to measure it? And we now can proudly say that we have an evidence-based program because we are using a research-validated research instrument where we assess the kids and their parents before, in the middle, and after the entire course. And what we find is that there is an uptick in quality of life for the kids we touch. And that, of course, is beautiful. A lot of the kids in our courses are in active treatment. And what that means is that they go through some horrendous medical procedures that sometimes life-threatening, and to still be able to say that in an overall look, there's an uptick in quality of life. We are immensely proud and immensely happy that we can give that to these kids.
So, Kerstin, how long have you been CEO of the foundation?
I started in July 2019, so good 3.5 years.
Okay. And Lauren, how long have you been with Pablove Foundation?
Yes, I've been with Pablove for over 5 years doing our marketing and community outreach and growth. And it's been truly a transformative 5 years because you see through the Shutterbugs photography program, you see kids change over that course. It's a different child who leaves that classroom than when they first arrive, when their mom drops them off. They're sick. They might have nausea from chemo. They are tired. They're grumpy. After an hour of shooting photos and making friends with other kids who are in the same boat, who get it, they have that shared bond of we all have cancer. That's why we're here. That child is transformed. And that's really why every year that goes by with Pablove, it brings me so much fulfillment and joy as a person.
So how the organization is based in Los Angeles, California, right?
That is correct.
Are you limited to working in the Southern California region, or do you work
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. We've long had a dream of turning our photography classes into a virtual program. And as we all know, necessity is the mother of all invention. So with the pandemic, we figured, all right, if now isn't the time, when is? So we looked at the introductory course in particular and figured out how we can make our coursework meaningful also in a virtual setting. And we got that done. Mm-hmm. And with our virtual classes, we now enroll kids out of 27 states across the United States. Wow. And we even have a couple kids from Canada as well. So we every semester we just increase our reach just a little bit. We offer both. We offer in-person and virtual classes. And based on the population we serve, we are finding that a lot of parents, even if there is a local in-person class, that a lot of families opt into the virtual class because it's just a lot more convenient. And a lot of parents, even if the kid is out of treatment, they continue to be cautious about infections, and they prefer to have kids participate in group exercises virtually.
Very neat. Now, the photography class is that the Pablove Shutterbugs thing?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Spot on. Yeah, that's our Shutterbugs program. And I'll outline that a little bit. So we do 6-week introductory courses, and again, virtually and in person. And then we have a toggle between an in-person and virtual summer camp, which is this year for 2023. We are going to do it virtually again. We were in person in 2022, where our alumni is invited to an all expenses paid summer camp. And then in our biggest program cities, where we have the largest number of alumni, we also offer an in-person advanced class, which is 11-12 weeks long. And that is a deeper journey into more technical photography, and also chronicling what was my journey with cancer like. So for the introductory class, a lot of joy, a lot of fun. Average age is 11. The summer camp is all kinds of kids, and the average age is maybe a tick higher than that. And then for the advanced class, the average age is teenagers, 17, 18 years old on average.
If you just joined us late, we're talking with Kerstin Lynam, CEO, and also Lauren Aufiero, social media specialist from the Pablove Foundation. And they essentially are a U.S. pediatric cancer nonprofit organization. And by the way, the Touch of Life Foundation is also a 501c3 nonprofit organization that is founded on the principle that helping others is good for society. We leverage technology to connect people in need with people that are willing to give. And that's what I want to talk about a little bit here, is kind of what can our listeners do to help out the Pablove Foundation? When I was looking at your website, there's a lot of ways.
It's pick your preferred. I always like to encourage people to visit our website to explore themselves, but the options go from simply just liking and following us on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, all the way to truly engaging with us and joining our committee structures with advisory groups, chatting with us very directly. How can I get involved? And we find something. It can be something more removed, where people just decide, you know what, I have this old car standing around. Why don't I donate my car and name Pablove as a beneficiary? There's a link for that. We work with Harold's Car Service. There are just straightforward monthly giving programs where people can say, you know what, I like this idea to give a little extra for kids in need. I'm going to forego my Starbucks, and we used to say $5. It's now $6. $6 a month for Pablove. Or you can do whatever you want. You can create a little event, and we'll help you to do that. If you're ambitious and you want to fund your own research grant at $50,000 with a company or as a family or a group of people, we are delighted to help you to do that as well. Our fundraisers fundraise, and we support them in many different ways. And we, of course, take care of all the hassles that come with maintaining the 501c3 and all the reporting, finding the research to sponsor. We do a lot of the work around that. So we like, for parents who want to do a lot, we like to be the go-to place. How do I engage, and how do I make this journey better for kids just like my own?
I found it interesting in looking at the many ways. The other things are, I saw, like the organization will work with our listeners to set up something perhaps like an employer matching fund situation. You can even designate the Pablove Foundation as the charity of choice on your Amazon Smile. That's where whenever something is purchased on Amazon.com, you mentioned Amazon Smile, and the Pablove Foundation will benefit from that, but also your company, your employer, can become a corporate partner to the Pablove Foundation. So lots of ways to connect. Lauren, I did want to ask you, in your role, how are some of the ways that the listeners can connect with the Pablove Foundation? I mean, Kerstin mentioned going to the web page. I'm guessing you have a variety of vehicles, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We have a wonderful community and lots of ways that people can participate and feel a part of our mission. So just on social media alone, we're fueling conversation and imagination. So because I think what really sets Pablove apart is the dual mission. A lot of pediatric cancer nonprofits, they might focus on just supportive programs and resources for families, or maybe they just focused on pushing the needle forward on research. We're at the intersection of doing both. So we really say we're putting messaging and storytelling out there that's pushing the boundaries of art and science. So the art side being our Shutterbugs program, which if you're interested in photography, you can follow us and see these amazing photos captured by kids who are with cancer. They're using photography to tell their story, to capture their journey. The moments that you find in these photos are moments of innocence, beauty, wonder, and they're truly beautiful. So that's a real big part of the content and the storytelling, is what our kids are shooting and what they're capturing with their cameras. And then if you're more inspired and you say, hey, I've been personally affected by the monster of cancer, what does my family want to do? Maybe we want to push the needle forward for better treatments and to cure. Well, we've got something for the science person in you and for the person who's looking to make a mark on the way kids are being treated. So we are empowering young, daring researchers through the grant funding that we give them to take a real novel approach of treating kids in a safer way or looking at cancer differently. So that's our Powered by Pablove research grants. So our community, our stories, they draw parallels from both art and science. The other thing I will mention, if you're an athlete, we want you on Team Pablove. Team Pablove is a really fun community. We've got something for all athletic levels. If you're looking to say, I want to improve this year, my fitness, it's 2023. Let me resolve to get my health goals on track. And let me do it while giving back to pediatric cancer, to helping kids with cancer, or fueling research if you just want to designate it to research. So we've got LA Marathon, Charity Half Marathon. We're proud to be an official charity partner of the LA Marathon. It's a long-running partnership for us. And then if you're a bike rider, a cyclist, come get on your bike and ride with Pablove Cycling Club. We've got Pablove Across America, which is an amazing pro-supported ride that'll take you from beautiful sunny Palm Springs all the way to San Diego. And that's another really cool way that you're fundraising, you're making friends, and you're getting your health on track, and you're a part of something bigger than yourself, which Touch a Life, you guys know.
And that's coming up in September this year, right? The Pablove Across America.
Yeah, Pablove Across America. It's a long-running event, again, started by one dad grieving the loss of his son from cancer, and now it's become one of the most well-regarded cycling events in the industry. And it is something that our riders come back for year after year. And we're hoping to have about 55 cyclists do this ride, which again, will take you from Palm Springs to San Diego. It's September 26th through September 30th. And it's a really fun event to be part of. And
by the way, if you want to go to the Pablove website, the foundation's website, you can go to www.pablove, it's the name Pablo with VE on the end, pablove.org. That's the web page. And you can also email for information by going to info@pablove.org. I noticed when I was on the web page, right there on the top right, you've got all the different major social media platforms listed, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. You guys also have a blog people can follow, right?
Yes. And our blog is a super great place to learn about all the different ways that you can get involved and the events that we have, virtual events and in-person events. And our blog is called the Pablog because using Pablo's name, Pablo being our legacy, we're always trying to remember him. So the Pablog is also on our website. Pablo, but with blog at the end.
Very good. You guys are consistent in that
We
in
are.
using
We
that
are.
cool name. Yeah.
Yes.
I wanted to tell our listeners, you're listening right now to the TALRadio. Download the TAL Giving app, TAL Touch a Life Giving application. It's a platform to help organizations like the Pablove Foundation and so many others by having people that need things connect with people that have things to give. And so we encourage our listeners to go to the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. And that's where you can download the TAL Giving app so that you're registered either to give or receive or both. So we just want to make sure that our listeners are all aware of that. How many employees or members does your organization have?
We have 13 employees, and most of them are Los Angeles based, but we have employees in other areas as well. We have become good with virtual teamwork during the pandemic, and it works for us. And like so many other employers, we want to maintain employee satisfaction so that we can continue to give, to make the life of our kids living with cancer a little brighter.
And that's one thing I was going to ask, just because I don't think any conversation can be complete without asking about what the COVID impact has been in what you do. Has it affected what you guys do much?
How could it have not? It affected all of us in very personal ways, but also in professional ways. And in some ways, we got out of the pandemic stronger than we went into it. But in others, it has created some challenges as well. We are immensely proud to have turned our program into a virtual program. Our virtual events, if you get on our mailing list, you will get invited to those virtual events. They are a cut above because we always include our kids to the maximum possibility. We are storytellers, and it shows in our events, and they look very professional, but they're full of heart. And I truly encourage everybody to come to our events. But we learned more about how to do these events during the pandemic. We're learning organization. We are very happy to experiment and learn forward. And in that regard, the pandemic was really, really good to us. The ways how it was not good for us is that a lot of people kind of drew the circle around them a little bit tighter, and a lot of relationships fell off for many people. As hungry as we all were for togetherness, I think we all went a little bit closer to self on that. And we have lost some of our donor population, to be quite frank, which is a problem because we already, as a nation, we are already having less donors, giving opportunities to more foundations and causes. So we are very keen on telling our stories and showing audiences how beautiful it is what we do. We touched before on the duality of our mission, which I think makes us so special, to touch both on science and art to shift the needle for kids living with cancer. And it's how we do that. We have a long arc of how we support our kids, and research is a longer arc experiment anyway. So we are used to hanging on to our communities for a longer time, and it just enriches everything we do, and we believe it enriches our donor experience as well.
Obviously, the COVID situation was so devastating, but it's interesting that you pointed out what I like to refer to as finding a ray of light in a dark cloud. And it's obviously what you need to be able to do. And that's really what, Pablove Foundation has done, that gray cloud into a significant ray of light, and we're delighted to help you in that. I want to kind of wrap up our conversation, if I could, just real quickly. Just a couple of words, if you would. Kerstin, what does this do for you to be part of the Pablove? How does it make you feel just in your role? What's this mean to you?
I find it incredibly meaningful to be able to change the life of kids. Clearly, everybody's future, the world's future, are our kids. And we found a way to change the trajectory of kids we touch, knowing that we improve their quality of life and knowing that our research increases the body of knowledge for future treatments and potentially a cure. It's incredibly rewarding. And not only do I feel that, I feel it's a gift that we can give that gift to donors as well, that our donors can connect to, yes, I can have an impact, and I, through Pablove, can change the life of kids living with cancer, and I can change medical treatments for pediatric cancer as well.
In so many jobs, it's hard to find how you're making a difference. It's not hard to find in what you ladies do. Lauren, I want to ask you kind of the same thing. You touched on it earlier, but just what's this do to you?
It's just verified to me something I've known my whole life, which, as someone who loves the art and who was an art, photographer throughout my college career, the source of comfort that can come from art and being able to help a child unlock the passion or the inspiration in saying, hey, I can do this too. I have inside me an artist, a photographer that's just being awoken through Shutterbugs, and really being witness to that instant transformation in a child, that confidence boost, that feeling that they're making a mark. And then the really cool thing, which we didn't really fully mention, but the photos that our Shutterbugs take, they have agency. Those photos all directly fund pediatric cancer research. And our students know that. And they're really proud to say, I'm out there being a photographer and healing and finding joy, but I'm also helping other kids who are going through this horrible disease. My photos are funding research. We sell every photo we sell, and 100% of proceeds go back into our research grants. So that's really another cool thing to watch come full circle.
I can feel the glow from both of you, from what you do, what it does for you. And that the reason I like to conclude with that question, typically on these interviews, is because I want to mention to our listeners that this is your opportunity to also experience that same feeling by participating in the Pablove Foundation. I do, in concluding, any last things either of you would like to say as we're wrapping up?
I love how you phrase this. And I would like to add, we are a relatively small organization, meaning we are nimble, and we love talking to our donors. And our donors, our friends, can do as much or as little as they want. And we are delighted to have the conversation to calibrate that for whatever is right for you.
Well, one thing I just want to add, if you're listening and you perhaps a light bulb goes off that maybe you know a family affected by pediatric cancer, or you know a child or someone in your school, a colleague, our Shutterbugs program is enrolling kids right now for our spring classes, and you can live anywhere. And we have a class for your age group, your time zone. The coolest thing about being a Shutterbug, you're a photographer for life, and we set you up with the tools you need at no cost. You sign up to be a Shutterbug and you get a camera kit that you get to keep. Everything is donated, no cost to families to join our program. All the equipment is provided, sent directly to your door, and you get to come be a photographer with Shutterbug. So if you are interested or you know a family that might benefit from this great program, you can apply online at pablove.org/apply. And hopefully spread the word that you could actually touch a life by just sharing this really cool no-cost program that's offered.
And to our listeners, just make sure you head on over to www.pablove, PABLOVE.org. Get information, help the folks out, at the Pablove Foundation. Ladies, it's been a pleasure to talk with you today, to hear your story. And maybe we'll get a chance to get an update from you at some point in the future. We do want to thank Kerstin Lynam, the CEO, and Lauren Aufiero, a social media specialist, both from the Pablove Foundation, for meeting with us today to share their story. I'm Robert Hicks, and we certainly thank you, our listeners, for spending time with us today, and most of all for your generous nature in following us. So please stay with us on the TALRadio for additional uplifting stories. Everyone have a great day.
And thank you so much for the work you do as well.
Thanks, Robert.